I think the other thing that really provides burnout is when you're working under unethical people. And that's why I'm trying to get good, kind, professional private individuals into private practice ownership, because whether it is a private individual that's unethical and greedy or a corporation, you're basically having someone that's only there for themselves. And so they don't care how much work it is for you. They don't care that the systems don't work for you because they're making money off of it. They might not see that it could run better and they could make more. They're just seeing like, I own the business, I done the work to buy the business, you're my employees, you're just the worker bees. And really, I think we could, one, make more money, and two, everyone could be happier. You don't have to be succumb to that. Compassion fatigue is the most heartbreaking thing, I think, when you are a doctor, because you truly went into medicine not for the money. You invested so much work and time into learning this, and you think it's because you're going to make a huge difference. And then when you see the cost factor always having to be a problem with that, your ability to treat patients, and then things are not set up well, and then you're just worked to the point where you no longer have that compassion. Even though it's not your fault, you feel horrible about yourself. And I see so many people feel that way. They are deep in a dark place.
What happens when a veterinarian decides she's done waiting for things to get better and builds her own future instead? In this episode of Irreplaceable Truths, I sit down with Dr. Carlee Tucker, founder of Veterinary Practice Rising and owner of Winfield Veterinary Hospital in Kansas, to talk about breaking free from burnout, fighting corporate control, and building a practice culture that protects your people and your purpose. We dive deep into ownership, mindset, mentorship, and the business side of compassion, all with honesty, humor, and a shared vision of the next generation of veterinary professionals. Dr. Carlee, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are things in the Plain States?
They're great. We love this time of year. It starts cooling off.
Yeah. It's kind of nice. And then, have you had a snowfall yet?
No, not yet, but it was really chilly today. It's supposed to get freezing, I think, tomorrow.
Ooh, I
It might be
remember
a
those
rough
days.
winter.
I remember those days from Illinois. So, Dr. Carlee, you absolutely amaze me with your story. And I would love for you just to give a little bit of your bio to the listeners so they know all about where you went undergrad, graduate school, and where you're located now.
Okay, I'll try to keep it brief. Basically, I grew up in a small town in Kansas. I always wanted to be a veterinarian since I was a little girl, and went to K-State for undergrad, went to K-State for vet school. Thought I wanted to specialize because I really wanted to practice like advanced medicine. But once I was in veterinary school, I could not handle the bureaucratic rules and regulations and the little tidbits and inefficiencies that it just had to be done that way because someone said so. Like, I was pretty stubborn. Like, I liked doing things my own way. So I was like, private practice is probably for me. I really wanted to gain some knowledge in cattle medicine. I had an interest in that, but I didn't grow up that way. And so my first job out of school, I picked a primary cattle practice at a very rural town, like 2,000 people, and did mostly cattle work like 80% of the time. Loved it, but it's a lot physically, and that kind of led me into wanting to own. And so I ended up moving back to my hometown to find a job for a while I was trying to figure out if I could do business ownership. And that kind of led me into actually buying the practice that I worked at in high school. So now I own the practice I did kennels at when I was 15 years old. But yeah, it was just like a lot of it came from the efficiency thing and wanting to have some control and really caring about people. My staff, my best friends in that cattle clinic were technicians, and just seeing like, the discrepancy of things and just things could be running better. And it just drove me batty. And so that's kind of what led me into ownership more than anything else.
Well, first off, you said stubborn. We don't call that stubborn for you and I. We call that disruption. Because we get sick and tired of seeing the bullshit and seeing how inefficient and how people are treated.
Yes.
So
that really bothered me.
Was there a certain particular moment or a certain particular thing that said, I'm sick and tired of waiting for change I need to own.
Yes, there was parts of that in the first practice I worked at where I was just really sick and tired of how people were treated. That really kind of led me into wanting to own, but I just didn't think it was possible financially for me. I had a mortgage and student loan debt, and I just didn't know anything about business. But once I was in that second job and my coworker, who was my classmate, left, it left me with a double workload. And things were just never ready. Like things were never ordered right, never unpacked. I could not get any trained help. The staff turnover was terrible. And so it was kind of that, and just realizing like this could be my next 20 years of my life, just stuck suffering. And I just kind of reached a breaking point. I mean, it was burnout for sure, but it was also just like investing into staff and technicians into their training, and then they'd be there for 6 months to a year and leave. And it just felt like this endless cycle of like greed plus like ethics not being there, and then also just really poor systems and protocols. Like this stuff didn't have to be this way. I knew deep down things could be ran more efficiently. It just seemed silly and a waste of time and resources.
How old was the veterinarian that you were working with at that second practice?
The one I bought it from, or my coworker?
Yeah, the one you bought it from.
He was in his 70s, and he was the person I worked with and from in high school, and so had the respect there that I thought that was appropriate, but there was just so many things that were out of touch. There was just so many things that were old school, and he just didn't understand that, like, you don't just suck it up and work 100 hours a week, because he had a wife at home that took care of his kids, that cleaned and did the whole household thing, all of that stuff. He literally just had to do his job. And for me, I was like, want to be a mom, I'm a wife, I'm taking care of everything too. And it's not, we have to advance as a society. We cannot be stuck in the past. I really believe like adapt or die. Like, come on, we have got to keep up with the program. And in this day and age, like, I think we really need to start caring about other people in a collaborative way and make it a sustainable system. There's no point of pushing every professional in this field to burnout. What's the point of investing in this much money in education to just have them flee the fields for other professions because we won't take care of our staff? And so there's just a lot of, we just didn't see eye to eye because we just grew up in different ways. And the way he grew up was really, really harsh. And he just thought that's the way it was. And you didn't need any help. Like he would prep and do all his own surgery preparation. Like he had no technicians essentially when I used to work there, but previously none. Like they did it all. And I'm like, you're wasting time. Like we could see 3 times the amount of appointments. We can make 3 times the amount of money. And so I saw it as like, we could still be profitable or more profitable, but we just couldn't see it together.
But you said you didn't know business. Hold on a second. That sounded like a businesswoman right there, Dr. Carlee. You sounded just like a businesswoman.
Just
well, that's what business is. Business is common sense.
It's true, because when I try to tell people like you can do this, I'm like, you went to veterinary school. That was way harder than what I like running a business. This is practical stuff. If you can pay bills and like buy your groceries and like run a house and be an adult that's responsible, you could literally run a business. It's not. Yes, there are things I outsource and pay for sure, that I am not qualified to do. So I won't say like I am all inclusive, but the practicalities of this is an entry like level barrier is what I think. It's getting into business ownership, because once you get there, you realize it's going to vet school is way harder. Like you can do this.
So, I mean, and you talk to a lot of young veterinarians or early career professionals, 0 to 10 years out, and none of them want to own a practice. Do you think that's due to fear? And
yes.
Did you have fear? And what was that fear?
Yes. And I definitely think I had the same fears that they tell me. It's all about, they think it's not possible financially. They're trying to figure out, how am I going to save $100 or $200 or $300,000 to have a down payment, 20%. I'm like, you don't need that. And second, it's the fear of like, you're already in burnout. How could you possibly take on more? Every business owner you talk to says it's their whole life. They never get a break. They never have any time off. They never have any time with their family. And so you're taking a person that's in burnout because of someone else's problems and systems, and you're trying to encourage them to take on more work. And they absolutely cannot see the benefits and the long-term payoff if you set it up well. It doesn't have to mean that you have no time with your family. It can mean you have more time, more freedom and flexibility. Like my family, we get to work on the business together and spend time, but we also have set it up in ways where we have enough staff that are appropriately and well trained that when we leave, the business can take care of itself. And that feels so good to be a pretty new practice owner and have time away with my family. And I feel like I deserve it, and they deserve it too, because I it's not just for me. It's all my staff gets the same benefits when it comes to things like that.
Well, I mean, so how far along are you into this ownership now? How long have you owned?
About 3 years.
3 years. And it wasn't overnight that you fixed all your problems, and I'm sure you're still trying to fix problems from the previous ownership.
The first year was so rough.
First year, 12 months?
Yeah, really rough. I was pregnant when I bought the practice. So there was a time crunch, and there was all those details and pain relief vets, which are so expensive. And there were so many things to fix. I would say it did honestly take over my whole life for a whole year. And there's still things that happen that I have to go in and fix. But it's not like I have to only work these 4 days a week and every other time I'm completely unavailable. Like there is, like you say, it's not just a work-life balance, but it's a sustainable balance. So there's Sundays and weekends and things that we work, or my husband goes in and fixes stuff. But then there's times during the week where I'm like, I need to go to an appointment or go do something with my kid. And I have that flexibility and freedom. So it's not like a set system like an associate is, but you can have that balance and a sustainable system, I think. But yeah, I mean, I would not say it's easy. It is a huge amount of labor, at least to get started. But spend 20 years in a job you hate, or like invest into a year or two into really doing what you want, creating the life you imagine, and then letting it flourish over the next 20 years instead.
Yeah, not only that, you get to create your own culture. You get to create the environment for all these doctors. You get, I mean, and the technicians and the assistants and the receptionists and the kennel. I mean, it's actually, it's fun. You're creating a legacy, and you're absolutely correct that a 12 to 18 month, let's say even 24-month commitment to grinding out through what seems like hell, it becomes rewarding. It becomes really rewarding. Unless you want to deal with HR nightmares, and that's something you should outsource.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it really is worth it, because I feel so proud of what I've built. And like when I walk in the day and things are like the dream that I had in my head, and they are literally that in reality, it's almost unbelievable, because people told me I was crazy. People told me I was delusional, that there is no way to run a clinic that way and take care of all these people. You just need to focus on yourself and getting as much money for your family. You know, you just have all these people that just don't believe that we can do this system where we take care of others. And I really believe, like, I'm on this planet to serve people and their pets. And that includes my staff. And really what I came at it was my staff are going to be the ultimate priority. And I knew everything else would follow after that.
How many of your classmates own practices?
I don't know, honestly. A few, but I don't know. I don't think that many.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. Like when I went in my class, when I graduated in 2000, that no one really wanted to own. I was the only one that went in there knowing, okay, I'm going private practice and I'm going to own as soon as possible. But there are a few others now that had ventured out. A great majority of my class isn't even practicing anymore, which is very sad. But those who did ended up buying, and I think they did it for the same reason you did, which was, man, I'm sick and tired of this BS. I could do it better, and I want to be able to make my own rules.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you go through the grind of veterinary school and you're expected to have, like, you think you're going to kind of have this like freedom as a doctor, and you can't really work to your potential when you have all of these systems that are a problem for you. It really feels like you're limited all day. And it just makes you feel negative about yourself and your ability as a veterinarian. It really hurts your ego, but also your, what is that word? It just really affects how you feel about the medicine you practice when you're not practicing to the quality that you want because you don't have the support you need.
Yeah, the empirical way is to say lack of self-worth. And that is one part of the burnout triad. If you could go back to that burning out phase and whisper something in your ear, what would it be at that point?
Start sooner. I suffered for so long because I was so afraid. I was really afraid of financially ruining my family's life. I mean, I was like the primary income provider for my family. So I just didn't feel like I could risk it. And I didn't have the confidence that I thought I could actually, even though I had the dreams in my head, I was really scared to actually take that on. And I've realized through this process, like, it's always scary. Like, anything worth doing has a component of fear and bravery and courage in it. And you have to take those steps. And if I would have told myself, I just wish I would have tell anyone that's feeling that way that you don't have to suffer this long. You don't have to keep going this way. This doesn't have to be the end for you of veterinary medicine. Like, you don't have to just keep struggling.
Well, you say that burnout is a system failure. What part of the system is failing us as a profession?
I think the biggest thing that I see is two parts. Is the practicalities of running a clinic efficiently, I think, just get left, like, I call it lost in the sauce, but left behind. Like, somebody is not caring about that enough to design it well on the front end so that things flow well on the back end. They are busy with other ownership things. They're busy practicing medicine. They don't have enough staff, so they don't have the time to work on those things. And so where all the efficiency things in any other business would be managed by professionals that do systems and protocols, veterinarians are left to doing them themselves and often just let it kind of fall. And then I think the other thing that really, really provides burnout is when you're working under unethical people. And that's why I'm trying to get good, kind, professional private individuals into private practice ownership, because whether it is a private individual that's unethical and greedy or a corporation, you're basically having someone that's only there for themselves. And so they don't care how much work it is for you. They don't care that the systems don't work for you because they're making money off of it. They might not see that it could run better and they could make more. They're just seeing, like, I own the business. I done the work to buy the business. You're my employees. You're just the worker bees. And really, I think we could, one, make more money, and two, everyone could be happier. You don't have to be succumb to that. But I think it's really frustrating when you have corporations coming in that are going to make sure that they make their money, but they're not going to staff appropriately enough and pay well enough that everyone can succeed in this field. And I think that's just really sad for healthcare workers. We see that in human medicine. And that is my biggest fear, is like, my sister's a human doctor. I follow a lot of physicians online that are kind of reaching out and finally talking about, like, insurance and their healthcare systems. And I'm just picturing, like, 50 years from now, if every vet clinic is corporate owned, the expenses are going to be so high, every single person will have to have pet insurance to pay the bills. And then insurance will change in the way that human has, where it won't cover anything and it will cost so much and they'll deny everything. And we'll be in the same terrible system as human medicine. And that is my nightmare. Like, that is my motivating factor for this, is like, we have to stop it now. Like, I really see the next 10 years are our chance to intervene.
Well, you're not the first one to say that. Like, they believe that these corporations and pet insurance companies are in bed together. I don't know if anyone's ever investigated that or looked into that, but it definitely, the cost of care has made it an absolute luxury item to own a pet. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it.
And it's sad because, man, I don't want to upset veterinarians when I say the cost of care is rising because of corporations, because they feel like, well, I finally get paid what I need. I finally get some benefits. I'm not suggesting you don't deserve that. You deserve that no matter who owns a practice, a private practice, for sure. I'm just suggesting that if there is a whole administrative group on the top that has to make their millions of dollars while the doctors are making hundreds of thousands and the technicians are barely scraping by, we are pushing people out of pet ownership, and it's not ethical. When you're talking about healthcare decisions, this isn't selling handbags where you can charge whatever you want. This is medicine. These are lives. Like, I believe there's an ethical markup. You know, there's an ethical line that we have to keep in consideration. And I just don't think people that aren't in medicine should be making money off of medicine.
Oh, no. I mean, well, the next question I had was that you have a burnout quiz that you do. Are you starting to see a pattern amongst the people who are filling out that questionnaire?
Yeah. I mean, everyone I talk to is in the same boat. And I'm focusing on associate veterinarians in burnout because I want to push them into like considering ownership. But honestly, every healthcare professional I talk to, it could be nurses and human doctors, vet techs and CSRs. But yeah, people are drowning, and I see it so much online, and I think people have a lot of skepticism to me because they're like, oh, you're pretty like peppy, like it seems fake for you to be this happy. And it's like, no, genuinely, I was exactly where you were, and you don't have to keep going like that. Like, compassion fatigue is the most heartbreaking thing, I think, when you are a doctor, because you truly went into medicine not for the money. You invested so much work and time into learning this, and you think it's because you're going to make a huge difference. And then when you see the cost factor always having to be a problem with that, your ability to treat patients, and then things are not set up well, and then you're just worked to the point where you no longer have that compassion, you feel like a terrible person. Even though it's not your fault, you feel horrible about yourself. And I see so many people feel that way, that they hate clients, they hate patients, they hate working. They are deep, deep, deep in a dark place. It's just very, very sad.
So you believe that most veterinarians realize, if they finally do realize that they are burned out and then get compassion fatigue, it's too late? Do you believe that veterinarians aren't trained well enough to see the signs of burnout well before?
You know, it's talked about a lot, and I see them write burnout, compassion fatigue. They know they're
Okay, can I
there.
stop you there? What do you mean it's
Yeah.
talked about in school or in
Yeah,
literature?
like I think with Not One More Vet and like those Facebook support groups and our mental health, and I think that's known is that veterinarians really struggle with mental health and burnout. So I feel like they do know that's where they're at. I think they just think there's no other options. That this is what
See,
being
but
a vet is, and it's like this collective suffering.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Not Warmer Vet has its place for sure. But I think if you're talking about getting to Not One More Vet status, we are behind the eight ball big time.
Yeah. Yeah.
What keeps us from getting there a lot sooner? Is it stubbornness? Is it a lack of education? Or is it a feeling that they'll feel like a failure if they tell someone they're really having a struggle?
I think a lack of education is a huge one. I want to touch on that point. But I think it also is like you suffer through vet school quietly, and we know it's a suffering point, but there's a finality to it. And so when you get into practice and you're suffering and there's no end in sight, I think people just very much keep that internal. And they will talk, to therapists or Not One More Vet or anxiety meds, things like that. But yeah, you're talking about we need to intervene way before that. And I do think education in veterinary schools about this should be a way bigger component. But I also think education about private practice ownership should be a bigger component. We need to have some more business education. We need to know that this is an option. It is very, very sad to me that this isn't discussed as part of our education, because 50 years ago, doctors and dentists and eye doctors and veterinarians, everybody owned their own practices. And that freedom and flexibility and the financial benefit, I think, set up veterinarians in the past better than what we have now.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I think another problem is that when it comes to ownership in veterinary medicine, especially, is that, and I've said this a few times, is that it's very fragmented. I think veterinary practices are all struggling the same. We don't have enough doctors. We don't have enough staff. We don't have enough time in the day. We're all, out there trying to take over this, get the same clients. So everything is competition. One of the big things I believe is if, like, your next closest veterinary clinic is what? You said like 10 miles away?
15, but yeah, pretty close.
15 miles away. Okay. But I mean, 15 in Kansas is like 2 here in Southern California.
Yeah.
But I think if those practices started working together instead of competing against each other, you could also create another, I don't want to say safety net, but it is like a safety net for if you truly are struggling. If someone else is having a slow day and you're swamped, it would be great for you to be able to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, can I borrow a tech today?
Yeah.
Can I, I'm out sick. Is one of your doctors available that I can hire for relief for the day?" We need to be able to work together more as a profession instead of being such a competition. And I think that also comes back to the education piece as well, because everything's a competition, right? We competed to get to undergrad. We competed to get into vet school. I didn't, but there were kids in my class that wanted to graduate top 10. And, it's all competition. And it's like almost survival of the fittest out there, I feel.
It is. And I don't think it's necessary. With the shortage of veterinarians that we're facing and the amount of pets that we know we have in the US, I don't think we need to be fighting over every little detail. Like, I think we have room for all of us to thrive. And when you're talking about sharing things, that's just more and more efficiency, which is cost savings and tons of things like that. And that's what corporations have a leg up on with us. They have the money, the volume, the size, and the ability to work with that. And I just feel like if private practices could also come together at some point and own specialty hospitals, own ERs, own urgent cares, there's no reason that it just has to be a small GP clinic like mine. Like, there is potential to have big systems, I think, in the hands of veterinarians too.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we get rid of that fragmentation, then corporate invasion of the profession will kind of subside for sure, because we could all make our own privately owned little corps. And when it goes time to sell, you can combine your income, because you could say, "Hey, I work with this other clinic too." And you both could sell it at a higher price, which is more profitable for everybody too.
Yeah. And you can get a loan for it because it's a thriving business. And then we're transferring high quality, well-established, great practices. And I'm really sad of seeing all of the practices go to sell to corporations, or if they're too small and too, maybe they're older and don't have quite the stuff that they need. They're just being sold in parts and pieces. It's the building and the cages and the medical equipment. It's just so sad.
It's a sunset sale. Yep. It is sad to see. But that comes down to the veterinary profession is they have such fear of change and such fear to try stuff new, because how often do you hear someone say, "Oh, we've been doing this for 30 years. It works." Well, no, it doesn't. It doesn't work. We've had a problem for 30 years, and we need to change what's going on. In your opinion, is burnout ever a good thing?
I think if you can overcome burnout, it can show you a lot of grit and determination. Like, there is that persistence level of knowing that you've hit a place and overcame that. And you don't, that does build some determination, I think. But I think we need to, unless you are the business owner that is going through the grit to have the profitable clinic that you have your dream life, I don't think we should be making our employees go to that level. I think that's a management problem to prevent that, at least for our staff.
So what does the owning culture mean to you day to day?
For me, I think of it as I try to problem solve. That's my primary role and the thing I love doing. But it's also just setting the culture. It's being pleasant, using manners, saying please and thank you. If there's if there's someone's birthday or something nice we can do for them, let's do it. Let's care for one another personally. Whether they're going through funerals or personal things, it's taking care of them that way. But it's also like, hey, this is broke. Yeah, let's get a new one. Instead of just making people suffer with their problems, that's not their business and they should not have to pay to fix. Like, I'm not saying don't delegate that stuff. Like, I don't personally fix everything, but I make sure problems are handled in a way that people are happy to be there and feel cared about, feel invested in, that
So
they
how do
can
you
return the favor.
the hardest thing always I thought for me at least was how do you balance your employees' happiness, your clients' satisfaction, your positive outcomes and pets and profitability?
I really feel like if you have good, well-trained people and you take care of them and then you set the expectations like, hey, we're doing this because we are going to be providing the highest quality care in our area to our patients. So that, like, because I take care of you guys, you must take care of the staff and the clients. The profitability, I will say, like, I struggle with that sometimes. Like, I may overdo it and take less, and some other people aren't as comfortable with that. I am, because I'm so much happier. And I know I could run with less staff and make more money for my personal life, but I wouldn't get to enjoy it as much. Like, I have little kids and I just want to, I only have one life. And so I'm trying to take it day by day and really soak up what today means. And money does matter. I obviously would love to be extremely well off and build everything of my dreams, but it's just not my priority. And so that's my fear, is like, with corporations, is like, it always will be profitability first. And I just think it really needs to be people first, and like, build it and they will come. Like, I have the trust and the faith that I will be financially okay because I'm doing the right thing and building a place that will have longevity.
Field of Dreams.
I
Instead of Iowa,
build
it's
a dream.
in
I'm
Kansas.
a dreamer. I'm an optimist. And I think
Is
that's
there
where
a
people
leader?
have to step there.
Is there a leadership skill you had to unlearn?
What exactly do you mean? A leadership
Did you
skill I had to unlearn?
did you have, like, for me, I had the come to Jesus talk with my manager and my wife. They told me that I had to change my ways or else I'm going to lose everybody. Have you had any of those conversations yet? Has anyone approached you yet? Have you sat back and realized, hey, I can't do this way anymore because it's really not positive on the staff?
Yeah. Yes, I have had a few instances. Boundaries were something I really, really struggled with for a long time. I was very much a people pleaser and I didn't want to upset anyone. And I was over polite and tried to, like, buff every little situation, make sure every single person was happy. I realized that's not really realistic, possible, sustainable, or honest. And once I realized it wasn't honest, that was what triggered, like, the change in me to try to do things differently. I was like, if I'm lying just to make other people happy, one, I'm lying to myself, but it's not the truth. And so having to learn to, like, say the hard things and put boundaries up and call out when things are an issue and not just be like, oh, it's fine. This actually needs to be addressed, or this client is a problem and we are going to have to handle it for our staff. Those things were really, really hard for me because I don't want people mad at me. I want to be well liked. But at the end of the day, it was just like a maturity thing, I think, that kind of just developed. You just kind of accept, like, I can't make everyone happy. I'm not for
It's a mom
everyone.
thing. No,
You just
it's a
take it
mom
or
thing.
leave it. Yeah,
You
probably.
became
It
Mama
always
Bear.
happened after
You
my
became
son.
Mama
Yeah.
Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just like, well,
Yeah,
I don't care anymore.
I saw that in my wife. She's a full-time veterinarian, and as soon as she became she's an amazing mom, and as soon as she did become a mom, the Mama Bear came out. And I don't know if that's like a female instinct or what,
Yeah.
but she doesn't take
I
shit from
100%
anyone.
believe it.
Yeah, I never want to be on my wife's bad side, ever. Any mom out there, I do not want to be on your bad side, ever. Because the wrath of an angry mom, whew, I want to walk away from that. It's like trying to do a nail trim on Chihuahua sometimes. When you were at your first job, you said you were really dealing with burnout. Did you have any good mentorship at that job, or was that something that was lacking?
That was, I think, probably the biggest problem for me that kind of led all to this is I needed that mentorship so bad as someone who was learning cattle medicine for the first time. And my boss went on maternity leave right at 4 days after I started, which I knew and I was prepared for. But I was expecting after that point to have the mentorship, and it just never happened. So I really had to learn everything from the technicians, which totally changed our work dynamic. I mean, obviously we became friends, but there was no hierarchy anymore. They're literally teaching me how to do feet and pull calves and run a calf jack. And it was so hard. And you have to teach associate veterinarians, new grads, if you want them to thrive and be profitable. Because I see that with my new grads versus complaints I see about others. I'm like, you have to answer their questions and teach them and show them and invest a lot, at least that first year. Because if you do, they're amazing and wonderful and can go out on their own. But if you set them up where they're constantly doubting themselves and mistakes happen and they don't have backup, it really messes with their confidence. And then it takes a lot longer to recover from that dip than if you just addressed it appropriately the first time. So no, I did not have the mentorship I needed. And thankfully, it was large animal medicine. There was a lot of physical stuff. So I was able to learn that and then but no, I mean, it took a long time for me to not practice so redneck in small animal medicine and really get my skills tuned up when I moved to another job.
So how has that changed how you mentor your early career professionals now?
I just try to give them everything I know I needed. Time, availability, a slower pace, not rushing them, being patient, just I knew it was short-term and temporary. And even if it's frustrating as a business owner that it takes a long time, I was like, they have to learn, they have to have the confidence. And I was the exact same way. And so I think me being younger and not that far out helps, is that I remember how that felt so well that it's able to me to just pause and show up for them. But really it was just letting them slow down the schedule, being there for every case that they needed, coming in for every emergency after hours that they needed help with, standing in surgery instead of seeing my patients and being their assistant. But it didn't take that long. And now they are the most wonderful associate veterinarians. They don't need me for hardly anything. They're doing GDVs and splenectomies and limb amputations and all sorts of surgeries that are really advanced that I don't see other associates or new grads doing because they really have the confidence now.
It gives you that fulfillment, doesn't it? To see them do that?
Yeah. It makes me really proud of them.
You just said something that I thought was very interesting. Are you a proponent into, let's say you see appointments every 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You don't have a problem with the new veterinarians of seeing appointments every hour for the first few months, just so they can get some, get their legs underneath them?
Yep, that's what I did. Because by the time they looked up everything they wanted online, calculated all their drug doses, figured out exactly what these meds were called in the brand name, talked to the owners, figure out if they could draw the blood, it literally took them that long. So yes, for the first 2-3 months, it was hour-long appointments and very long times for surgeries. And I just did it. I just did it. I was like, okay, we're just going to struggle slow. But it was short term. And I see other people that just make them try to keep up, and then they're struggling for so much longer. It's hard. I mean, it's hard, but it's doable.
And you believe these early career professionals should tell their new job, hey, I want to see appointments every hour for the first few months just to get my feet underneath. I think a lot of early career professionals are scared to ask that question, but there's nothing wrong with that. We've all been there.
No,
we've all been there.
We all need to ask directly a lot more frequently for what we need and want.
I agree with you. We don't ask at all. And I don't know if that's a pride thing. And that gets back to the burnout issue. Are they too
Yeah.
embarrassed? Is it pride? Is it, I have no idea. But I mean, in order to make sure that this profession is stronger, we all need to listen to the younger generations coming up and asking. I mean, obviously, if the younger generation comes in, the first thing they say is, listen, I'm looking for work-life balance. I only want to work 3 days a week and I want to work 6 hours a day, but I want you to pay me full time. That's not going to work. But if you're an early career professional coming out and you're like, listen, I really want mentoring. I really need someone to be there. I don't want to say hand holding, but to answer my questions. And like you said, be there for them to listen, to be almost a parental, a coach, a feedback, a professor, a networker. I mean, that's what we should be as mentors.
Yes. And I think because older veterinarians get burned out and have been through harder times, they don't have that necessarily compassion for the younger. So like, oh, it was way harder for me. I had to work way more. I had to take more call. Like, you should be able to do this. And it's like, guys, we can't go back. We can't go back. We have to move forward. And just because you suffer doesn't mean others need to. And we don't want people suffering. You're unhappy because you suffered. Let's make it better.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because we've been through it. We don't want the younger generation to suffer. And I mean, but I was very lucky. I came out when veterinary medicine was like the roaring 2000s. It was amazing. Everyone, burnout wasn't really a thing, wasn't really being talked about until the Great Recession. And then after the Great Recession, they hit us with compassion fatigue. And then once COVID came around, we went to suicide. It was like this general increase in mental issues. And, again, I kind of blame leadership, because there's no leadership that's taking control of a problem. And I don't know how you feel about that, but I really feel the leadership in this profession is at about, on a scale of 1 to 100, it's sitting at about a 3. I asked my wife last night, because I got my AVMA renewal, and I'm like, what's the AVMA doing for you? And she looked at me and she's like, nothing. I'm like, exactly. Do you believe that the AVMA has helped you out at all? Do you think the AVMA has helped you out
it's
at all?
something you pay for. I use my PLIT, and things are associated with that. But we need more resources. We need more activism. We need more things happening, for sure.
So, Dr. Carlee, if vet schools taught one business class, what should it be and why?
Okay, if they taught one business class, I would say they need to just go over the basics of like what it looks like to purchase a practice. Like, what are the practical steps you need to do? What are some bank options? How much money are we talking? What is the breakdown of costs? Like, what is a labor rate, cost of goods? How much percentage are you expecting to make profit? And then I think we need to have like resources, a way of linking these people together. There should be somebody, I don't know, that has a list of this kind of stuff of like, hey, this practice someday, maybe in 5 years, wants to sell. If you're an associate interested in that, they are also looking for new hiring of veterinarians. Like, just some practical resources. But really, I think just kind of the breakdown of like the cost and the steps would be really helpful. I really like systems and protocols, and I focus on that a lot. I personally didn't think that part was hard. That was the thing that I love to do and was all about the flow. And I don't want to like take that away from somebody, like if you like to customize it, but you could help people with resources on how to write handbooks or where to purchase them from, or other companies that provide them. Because maybe people don't think about that. But as someone who worked in a clinic since the time I was in high school and kind of had done every role in a hospital system, I kind of knew what everyone should be doing, but I know that's not everyone's experience as well too.
I agree 100%. There are no good resources for veterinary business. I think Dr. Peter Weinstein does the best job at doing that. But he's only one guy.
Yeah.
My business class was 4 hours on a Saturday in vet school, and all we did was go over contracts. And it's like, we could do a lot better than this. There's a lot of other things they need to know. I think if associates, as they came out, knew all the ins and outs of what it takes to run a practice, then they'd understand why there might be fee increases or why things cost the way they do, instead of just questioning the owner as being greedy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's perfectly reasonable if people don't want to own private practices, but I think there should be a higher percentage of veterinarians that do. And I just am wondering exactly why there's none. It seems so uncommon.
Well, let's say I'm an early career veterinarian that reaches out to you and I'm like, Dr. Carlee, I have $380,000 in student debt. I'm never going to get a loan to own a practice. True or false?
I would say false. Depends on the practice. Depends on your income.
I agree. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of these banks and loan corporations that give you money to own practices, they don't look at student debt as a negative.
Right. Yeah.
They look at it as an investment into your future.
Yeah.
These banks understand how hard it is to get into vet school, how hard it is to finish vet school, and they don't use that as a negative against you.
No.
So, do you think the fact of student debt is one of the things that are holding people back from trying to buy a practice?
I think they believe that. And that's such a myth. That's so false. Every bank I've talked to has been like, oh no, you guys veterinarians are so trustworthy. You're great to work with. We know you're good on your payments. And yes, you have to make enough money that you're going to be able to pay your student loan payments and pay the bank loan for the business loan. But if you're making a salary that would cover your student loan payments as it would anyways, as you're working as an associate, and then your business can make enough profit to cover the business loan, you can get them. And I remember Googling everything for years about like business loans and vet clinics, 100% finance. There's no information online, none. I mean, the only thing you can find is like those, I don't know what to call them, those other kinds of banks that do make you required to have 20% down. And those are the only things you can even find online. And that was just a hurdle. Once I found that out or thought I had to have that, I was like, nope, it's not for me. And it wasn't until I actually called a couple banks, just random banks, that I realized, oh, really? You guys do this? They're like, yeah, all the time. I'm like, okay, people just need to contact, just make that little step. But yeah, we should be talking about that a lot more and telling people that it's possible for sure.
What do you have to say to the leaders of the profession that says there's a pipeline problem?
What do you think they mean by that?
There aren't enough veterinarians graduating every year. Let's build more schools.
I think it's an efficiency problem. Yes.
I think there's enough veterinarians out there that just don't practice veterinary medicine anymore.
Yeah, I was like, you're.
I think that's the problem.
Yeah,
that's the problem they need to fix.
You're trying to push out more vets, and it's like, hey, what if we actually keep the vets that we graduated in veterinary medicine instead of pharmaceutical sales
and that are already trained?
Yeah,
already been mentored. They're already trained. They know what they're doing.
Yeah,
they have their client base.
Yeah, we don't need more veterinary schools, I don't really think. And if you have really good trained staff where you're having appropriate staff ratios, doctors can be extremely efficient if they're allowed to practice in that way. And I don't know, because I'm in a rural area where, cattle vets are always hard to find and all this stuff. But I was able to find them and I keep them because I set up a clinic well. So I don't know what it's like in cities, if maybe it is, a huge understaffing problem. But I think they're leaving instead of, we don't need to just put more in just to burn more out. Like, that doesn't seem like a good system to me.
It's a definition of insanity.
Yeah.
Keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome.
Yeah, you can't just put more people
through. The title of my dissertation is Pause, PAWS, the Insanity.
I love that.
So
I love that because that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I mean, the thing is, and that's the one reason for this podcast is like, I want all those early career professionals out there to understand we've all been through it and we're here to help you. There are cheerleaders like Dr. Carlee, like myself, like everyone else that's on VetMed HQ, that we're here to help you. All you got to do is reach out. All you got to do is just DM, text, email, whatever you need to do. Just, we're here. We can help you. Now, if you're working for someone who's an absolute asshole and has no integrity, I tell you right immediately, you need to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
If you're working somewhere that says, hey, yeah, I'll mentor you, but you feel you're like not getting that mentorship, go somewhere else.
You gotta leave.
But,
Gotta rip off the Band-Aid.
don't leave the profession. Yeah, don't leave the profession.
Yeah, just find a new job.
Just go to a different clinic. Exactly.
Sooner.
I promise you, there is a clinic out there that will take you with open arms and be like, yes, we love you. Come in. We will teach you.
Yes. And that's the thing is like people stay in jobs too long till they get burned out that they feel like they have to leave the field. And instead they need to recognize right away, this place is toxic. Get me out of here. And there's 5 million places hiring. Just switch it up. You can make more money with your moves. Like you have good negotiating power as an associate right now. Don't stay and suffer because other people had it worse.
I know that exactly. And if you're working for someone who said, well, back in the day when I did it, I worked 23 hours a day. That's a red flag.
Yeah.
Go somewhere else. They're not evolving. And life is about evolving, right? We're veterinary medicine. The medicine part is continuously evolving. That's why we haven't perfected it. But yet, as leaders of the profession, as practice owners or whoever we are, we're like, oh, we've always done it this way. That's not evolving. You're not evolving with the profession. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
It's a big problem.
Because, as medicine evolves, we really do have to learn to keep up in different ways.
Oh, 100%. 1,000%.
Everything's going to change.
And okay, I'm going to end it with lightning round questions for you.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
True, false. Everyone can be a leader.
True if they want to. I don't think everybody should. But if that's what your dreams are, go for it. You could be a leader in all sorts of different niches, different things.
Do you think leaders are born or leaders are made?
I don't know if it's a personality.
Were you always a leader?
I feel like you go through stuff that makes you a leader. For my case.
So you were made.
Yeah.
You were made.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point I'm trying to bring home is that everyone can be a leader. Doesn't mean they're going to be a good leader, but everyone can be a leader.
Yeah.
It's just you learn, you mature, as you said. You became a mom. You learned when you matured that you're not going to try to be everyone's cup of tea because you are the leader. But as a leader, you also have to be a transformational leader where you transform people who work for you to believe in your mission and vision.
Mm-hmm.
True, false. Your practice has a vision and a mission statement.
True.
Do you make your employees sign both so they know exactly what they are?
Yes.
So, and do you ever in your staff meetings, do you ever go back and look at those and go over those again with your staff?
Yes, we do.
See? Beautiful. See, you are becoming a leader. That's what I love about this. You're becoming a leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
It matters. Why are we here? Why are we doing all of this?
So one leadership mistake you would proudly do again.
Hiring 2 associate veterinarians at the same time, not knowing if I could afford it, I would 100% do it again.
Exactly, because they will pay off eventually.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. They will start building their clientele. They will get a reputation. And as a leader, do you ever introduce your new associates to your top 10% clients?
Yeah, I've introduced them many times. Because I want them to trust them, and I want them to be able to use them when I'm not available. It's not a competition between us.
I love that.
We want to share.
What's your go-to playlist after a crazy day when you're driving home?
I actually like silence.
Oh, you do? You're one of those.
I like driving in silence. I'm so tired of hearing people talk and dogs barking that I'm like, nothing. My husband, he thinks I'm crazy, but no, not a sound. I love some Taylor Swift, though.
There you go. She's a Swiftie.
I'm a Swiftie.
And your boy's getting married to her, so you guys love that back in Kansas.
Yes. Oh my gosh, we love the cheese. We love Taylor Swift. We know all the songs, so for sure.
Is there an animal case that will never leave your mind?
Oh, yes. I have a list, but I have a few.
What did that teach you?
To always look extremely closely. Never assume diagnostics will cover things you can see on a physical exam. You have to look thoroughly at every single patient. You can't just be like, oh, just run some blood work, take some x-rays, and then look. Nope, you need to examine them all.
Exactly, a full exam.
Mm-hmm.
From nose to tail.
Mm-hmm.
And do not leave anything out. No matter what they're coming in for, do a full exam. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. That's a great mentoring piece right there. Okay, finish this sentence. Last question. Okay. What's one irreplaceable truth in veterinary medicine?
The people are often doing their best more than we like to give them credit for. And compassion goes a long way.
That was a deep one. You went deep on that one, Dr. Carlee.
That's what
You went deep on that one. No, but I love it. I ask that of everyone that's on here.
Yeah.
Because when I was asked to leave my job that I was at, they told me everyone was replaceable. And then as soon as I left, the clinic went bankrupt 8 months later. So that's where I got up the name Irreplaceable Truths, because they obviously didn't know the truth. And obviously everyone isn't replaceable. No. So, and that's something that we got to remember, is that all these early career professionals that are out there, you are not replaceable. We need you all, but we need you to talk. We need you to ask questions. We need you to ask for help. There is nothing wrong with that, ever, ever, ever.
Agreed, 100%.
Well, Dr. Carlee, it was great talking to you today. I am very excited to, if you're coming on, I'm so excited to get you part of VetMed HQ. I think it's amazing when I have female entrepreneurs. They are the bomb. I think you guys are just incredible. We need more female entrepreneurs. I think you guys see, I was a male entrepreneur and I was very unorganized. I had to hire a very, very OCD organized manager to make up for that problem.
That's great.
And that's another thing as a leader. I realize I have my weaknesses and I hired to replace that.
You don't just have to just struggle in it. Like, find someone that can do it better if it's not your thing, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited to be a part of this and so pumped for what you're building and trying to do here. I think is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And to all our listeners out there, if you have any questions for Dr. Carlee, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Honestly, DMing me on social media right now. I'm trying to be pretty active on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I updated my LinkedIn page, but just DM me on there and I'm happy to answer any questions because I love talking about this. This is my passion. So absolutely anytime.
And if you have any questions for any of us at VetMed HQ, we're VetMed HQ on social media, all the socials. Just DM us, ask us questions. We're going to be here to be your cheerleaders and be here to help you and give you also a swift kick in the rear end if you need one. Other than that, we will talk to you next time here on Irreplaceable Truths. Talk to you soon.